regular monthly meeting. To everyone present and to our television viewers, I wish to extend a warm welcome to this meeting of the Duval County School Board. The vision statement of the Duval County School Board states, "Every student is inspired and prepared for success in college or a career and life." The mission statement of the Duval County School Board is to provide educational excellence in every school, in every classroom, for every student, every day. The Duval County School Board is here tonight to listen to reports from the district staff and to set policy for the district that will improve student achievement. We will also address budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and other business items that require a vote of the board. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. It is not the role of the board to make managerial or operational decisions. The board has policies and procedures in place to assist the superintendent in resolving management and operational issues. If items appear to move quickly, it is because the board meets in an agenda committee meeting prior to the board meeting for an in-depth review of all agenda items. The committee meeting for the January 11th, 2021 school board meeting will be held on December 15th, 2020 at 9 a.m., and the public is invited to attend. As a show of courtesy and respect to each other, we ask that all mobile phones be turned off and that no flash photography be used during the meeting. For those wishing to address the board during our public comments portion of the board meeting, please note that we will accept speaker cards until 6:20 p.m. In an effort to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19, we have placed hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes at the podium. We ask that each speaker wipe down the microphone and podium before you address the board. The CDC currently recommends that facial coverings are worn while in public settings. Therefore, we recommend that all attendees wear a facial covering during today's meeting. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the operation of the Duval County School District. Board members, I invite you to stand for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Ms. Vicki Pierre will begin our presentations for the evening.
They have a combined 97 plus years of experience as educators and leaders. We're speaking of our Duval County Public Schools Principal of the Year finalists and our 2020 Principal of the Year. We're honoring each one this evening, and each will be presented with a Superintendent's Coin of Excellence. We're also joined by sponsors Matt Foxhall with Equitable and Rachel Tutwiler Fortune with JPEF. So we'll begin with our finalists and Fishweir Principal Kimberly Dennis. Dennis has been at Fishweir for 7 years, and she is described as a passionate mentor, has a constant desire to learn, and thanks to her high expectations, she's helped Fishweir maintain its A grade. So please help us congratulate Principal Dennis. Next, we have Fletcher High School Principal Dean Lefford, who's been with the school since 2016. One district leader says thanks to his attitude and work ethic, he personifies what a great educator should be. And under his leadership, he has helped bring Fletcher from a C grade to an A grade. Please help us congratulate Principal Ledford. Rounding out our finalists is Hyde Park Elementary Principal Shirley Winfrey, who's been at the school for the last 2 years. She's commended for moving Hyde Park from an F to a C in 1 school year, as well as reducing referrals and out-of-school suspensions. Congratulations, Principal Winfrey. Our 2020 Principal of the Year is Marilyn Barnwell of DuPont Middle School. She's described as someone who transforms the lives of each stakeholder that she encounters. In her time at DuPont, Barnwell has added a dual language program, a magnet program for international business and world languages, has seen students make significant gains, and much more. Please help us congratulate Principal Barnwell, 2020 Principal of the Year. And now for our Assistant Principal of the Year finalists and our 2020 Assistant Principal of the Year, all leaders who have earned praise for their commitment and success, and they are also each receiving a Superintendent's Coin of Excellence. Our first finalist is Daryl Edmonds, Assistant Principal at Love Grove Elementary. A former principal describes him as the kind of assistant principal that every teacher, student, and principal hopes to have at their school. He's been rated highly effective for 3 consecutive school years and continues to provide extensive leadership. Congratulations. Next, we have Marie George, Assistant Principal of Curriculum at Atlantic Coast High School. Her principal says amid the challenges presented by COVID-19, she helped provide support and leadership to other APs and schools. She was instrumental in creating a district-wide platform for hybrid scheduling and trained others in it. Congratulations. Rounding out our finalists is Lori Westbury, Assistant Principal of Curriculum at Southside Middle School. Her principal says she's willing to do whatever it takes to make both teachers and Southside Middle School as a whole successful. That includes overseeing the ESE and guidance department and serving as the instructional leader of the math department. Congratulations. Our 2020 Assistant Principal of the Year is Lisa Corprew of Arlington Middle School. Her principal says her leadership contributed to the school moving from a near failing grade to a C in 2019. He describes her as knowledgeable, calm, and hands down one of the best educators he's witnessed within the profession. Please help us congratulate Lisa Corprew, 2020 Assistant Principal of the Year. For our next presentation, she's being recognized as the best at both the local and state level. We now honor Amy Winters, School Psychologist of the Year. Winters is one of 61 full-time and 4 part-time school psychologists in the district. They provide important services such as crisis intervention, bullying prevention, and much more. Ms. Winters is commended for going above and beyond her duties. For instance, when a principal at one of her schools shared that they were without a school counselor, Winters took it upon herself to lead, train, support, and even sympathize with the principal and team to fill the void. A school counselor at another school asked Winters if she could help assist the parents of an English language learner, and she did. She visited them once a week to not only help them with their English, but also to help them prepare for their U.S. citizenship test. The Northeast Florida Association of School Psychologists named her School Psychologist of the Year. So did the Florida Association of School Psychologists, and now she's up for the national honor. This all comes off the heels of School Psychology Awareness Week, which took place in November. The theme was the power of possibility, which can be seen in Ms. Winters and other school psychologists. She's joined by Executive Director of Exceptional Education and Student Services, Gail Roberts, Director of Policies and Procedures, Wileen Herring-Cayasso, Supervisor of Psychological Services, Jamie Brennan, and Northeast Florida Association of School Psychologists President, Felicia Priora. She's also receiving a Coin of Excellence. Congratulations to Amy Winters. She's been credited with transforming the school counseling program at Mamie Agnes Jones into a nationally recognized model school program in less than 3 years. Our next honoree is Grace Wilhelm, 2020 Florida School Counselor of the Year by the Florida School Counselor Association. We're told her success is in large part due to her current principal allowing her to focus more on school counseling and to implement a comprehensive program. For example, through a collaboration with the school's PTO, the attendance rate has increased 158%, and the number of students with perfect attendance has more than doubled in one school year. She's introduced a variety of programs, and last school year, the school was named a recognized American School Counseling Association model program. She is now up for the national title of School Counselor of the Year. She says her wish is that elementary school counselors in Duval County will be able to implement comprehensive counseling school programs in their schools, and that counselors must have programs not to correct actions, but intentional programs that are preventative in design. She's joined by her principal, Mary Ann Lee, as well as Director of School Counseling and Acceleration Programs, Wendy Dunlap. Wilhelm is also receiving the Coin of Excellence. Congratulations. You may not realize it, but our district has a dedicated team of over 40 school social workers who do it all. Tonight, we're proud to highlight one, our 2020 School Social Worker of the Year, Susan Merritt. School social workers like Merritt are all over the district supporting multiple schools. They do everything from small group counseling, responding to crises, and much more. Merritt has worked in several capacities within social work and has played a vital role in providing student support services. She serves as the committee chair for the School Social Work Clothes Closet, which helps provide students and families with clothing and school supplies. In fact, she recently secured a community partnership leading to more funding and more uniforms for students. She's a member of several committees and has served as a supervisor for student interns working to earn a Master of Social Work. When it's all said and done, her supervisor says that Merritt is a leader within the department and is respected by all members of her team. Tonight, she's joined by Executive Director of Student Discipline and Support, Jackie Simmons, and Supervisor of School Services, Laura Chiarello, and she's been presented with the Superintendent's Coin of Excellence. Congratulations, Susan Merritt, School Social Worker of the Year. Our final honoree tells us that in all of her years of competing and diving, she had never earned a first place win, but all of that changed last month when she not only got that first place finish, but she earned it at the state level. We now welcome Riley Darkash, state champion in the Florida High School Athletic Association's Class 2A Girls 1 Meter Diving. Riley tells us that outside of school, she's been a club diver for 6 years. But upon becoming a freshman at Stanton College Prep, she earned a spot on the team. Last month, she traveled to Stuart, Florida to compete in the girls 1 meter diving. It's there that she clinched the top spot with a win that she says felt completely unreal. While she isn't the first state champion to come out of Stanton's swim program, she is the first freshman diver from the school to win a state championship. In fact, her coach tells us that she is, quote, a tremendous student athlete and is a coach's dream because of her work ethic and positive attitude. She's joined by District Athletic Supervisor Tammy Talley and Stanton head swimming coach Bob Fleming, and she has a Coin of Excellence. Please join us in congratulating Riley Darkash, Florida High School Athletic Association state champion in the Class 2A Girls 1 Meter Diving. This concludes this evening's presentations.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pierre. Congratulations to all of our award recipients this evening. We'll move on to the approval of the December 1st, 2020 agenda. That the Duval County School Board approve the December 1st, 2020 agenda as submitted on November 24th, 2020 with the following changes. Ask for a motion.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Joyce, seconded by Board Member Jones. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. You have approved the agenda this evening 7-0. We'll go ahead then with the chairman's report. Maybe, there it is. Chairwoman's report.
Finally.
I'll just start by saying I am again honored and grateful to be here. I am so privileged and humbled by the opportunity to serve the district and the community in this capacity as chair, and I think it's important to be able to share with you, look, I just went off script, to share with you the work that the board is doing. And so tonight in our chairman's report, I will give you a quick update on the strategic plan. The board has been in all 7 board member districts, both virtually and in person, to conduct community listening sessions, and we are very grateful to all of you that have joined us to provide feedback. And we are also very grateful to the Jacksonville Public Education Fund, who hosted several different groups, including our nonprofit partners, educators, teachers and administrators, parents, faith-based partners, and our business partners. And we were able to have individualized meetings with each of these different groups to collect their feedback. Thank you. To collect their feedback, and we were also able to get results from over 210 submissions to our survey. And so we are really excited to be able to go ahead and move forward with the strategic planning process. I'm gonna figure out where to point this. Oh, first try. And so what will happen next is the board will meet in a full-day workshop on December 8th with the facilitator from the Council of Great City Schools. And we will review all of the feedback we've collected through the survey as well as those community listening sessions, and we'll go ahead and discuss any updates to our strategic plan, review academic data, and possibly discuss the revision of any beliefs, mission, or vision statements. So I'm looking forward to that next week. I do believe that this work is an essential and important part of what the board does for our community, and I'm excited to be able to get that in place and turn that work over to the superintendent. The other thing on our plate right now is getting our sales surtax oversight committee set up. So the community is aware we have nominated and asked all of the parties to participate in the oversight committee. We're excited that this will provide an extra layer of transparency and instill confidence in the taxpayers that have decided to invest in our public school system. The committee will begin planning and meeting and implementing their work shortly. We are pulling those folks together, and we should be getting their initial meeting scheduled soon. We will have 22 voting members representing a diversity of community interests and community groups. Those members will not have any direct or indirect conflicts of interest, and they operate in a contract with the in a contract with the board or financial interest in any of the projects funded under the sales surtax. And so again, the next step here is the organizational meeting of the oversight committee to review their purpose and go ahead and establish some officers that will help keep that oversight committee functioning efficiently for the taxpayer. Our next item of business tonight is to say thank you to the dream team of lawyers that made this half penny possible for us. And so with that, I will allow Board Member Jones to make a few comments, and then we will read the resolution that we're presenting this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that's a long time coming. Just want to apologize to our dream team. We got caught up in an election that was very successful, in large part because of the work that they did. And certainly we have to go back. I don't know if we had enough Coke money to pay for this team. That's how we were going to fund it. But former board chair Lori Hershey picked this team, and certainly she couldn't have picked a better team. And we're so grateful as a community for the work, outstanding work that they did to get a resolution. Once we found out that Webster's definition of shall meant may and had changed, we had no other choice but to initiate legal action, and we couldn't have picked a better team. dedicated public servants who care about this community like all of us do and wanted to do what was right and best. And without their support and guidance and direction, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I just thought it was appropriate that we recognize their contributions. I think Pierre is going to read the resolution.
A resolution of the School Board of Duval County, Florida, showing appreciation to sales surtax referendum legal team. Whereas the School Board of Duval County, Florida, consisting of 7 elected Florida constitutional officers, is the governing body for the school district of Duval County, Florida. Whereas the district is the 20th largest school district in the nation and the 6th largest school district in Florida, but with the oldest school facilities in Florida. Whereas the school board and superintendent, Dr. Green, identified the need to upgrade the district's aging schools through repairs and modernization to keep schools safe and to continue to promote a conducive learning environment, to improve technology, and to replace existing or build new schools through a 15-year half-cent sales surtax, and the school board adopted a resolution dated May 7, 2019, requesting a referendum election to be held in November 2019. Whereas the school board's May 7, 2019 resolution was not approved by the City Council, and the school board sought the assistance of local attorneys to resolve the matter. Whereas numerous local attorneys volunteered their time, effort, and expertise to advise the school board and ultimately filed a lawsuit to place the school board's May 7, 2019 resolution on a referendum election ballot for voters. Whereas Duval Teachers United also engaged local attorneys to file a lawsuit which supported the school board's efforts. Whereas the combined volunteerism of the school board's attorneys and DTU's legal team resulted in hundreds of hours of time and effort, all at no charge to the school board. Whereas the school board's and DTU's lawsuits were successful, resulting in the school board adopting an updated sales surtax resolution dated March 16, 2020, which was approved by the City Council and which resulted in the school board's sales surtax referendum being placed on the November 3, 2020 general election ballot for vote. Be it resolved, the school board adopts the following resolutions showing appreciation and gratitude to the local attorneys who volunteered and donated their time, effort, and expertise in support of the school board's sales tax referendum election. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the school board adopts the following resolutions. Number 1, the school board expresses its appreciation and gratitude to the following attorneys who successfully resolved the school board's efforts to bring the sales surtax referendum election to the November 3, 2020 ballot. Henry M. or Hank Cox III, Scott S. Cairns, Audrey McKibben Moran, Michael E. Lockamy, Hal Houston, and Cameron G. Kynes. Number 2, the school board also expresses its appreciation and gratitude to Duval Teachers United and the DTU legal team for their efforts supporting the school board's efforts to bring the sales surtax referendum election to the November 3, 2020 ballot. Number 3, the school board shall post this resolution with the minutes of the November 9, 2020 school board meeting and shall deliver a copy of this resolution to the school board's attorneys, Duval Teachers United, and DTU legal team as recognized herein. And this was adopted November 9, 2020 in Jacksonville, Duval County, Florida, by the school board of Duval County, Florida, signed by Dr. Green and then Chair Warren Jones.
Thank you so much.
Some of them are here. You want to?
We have invited the legal team here tonight. We'll be presenting the legal team with framed copies of this resolution. Board members, if you'll join us. Board members, we'll stay up here. Mr. Jones, we would be remiss as a board if we didn't also say thank you so much to you for all of your hard work. Board member Hershey, as the former chair, was able to get this party started, but you certainly were able to bring it home with a bang, and we are so grateful for your leadership and all of the dedication that you've provided to the board, to the district through this last year. So thank you so much. A token of our appreciation from the board and your plaque, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for this, and the board we work with and the superintendent and her staff. I mean, it made it a lot easier than it looked. But we had our challenges. None of us could have predicted, but I think in the end, it's been a good year, and hopefully your year will be even better. Thank you.
Take a board picture. The board hasn't been together in like 9 months. Seven of us.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. That concludes the chairman's report. Turn it over to the superintendent for her report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Anderson. My report is going to be short, but my report will still be about the same things that we seem to talk about every month related to our schools and the amazing job that they're doing through a global pandemic. But one of the issues that we and every district in the state of Florida or nationally that are open to brick and mortar is substitutes. Substitutes have the same concerns that everyone else does, that they're going inside a building, and even though we have all the PPE and the protections, we still face challenges filling all of our substitute vacancies. But I do want to say that we are probably in the top 10% of districts that get their vacancies filled up to at least 70%. Tuesday through Thursday are our best days. We can even get to 85%, but it's Monday and Friday. Or, as you know, last week, Thanksgiving week had a normally high vacancy rate. And so I was very proud of district staff. We all went, I shouldn't say we all, because we didn't all go, but many of our district personnel went out and substituted. We had over 117 district people sub on either Monday or Tuesday. And as you can see, I was a substitute para on Monday, and I was in Miss Levine's classroom at Neptune Beach, and this is a self-contained SLA class, and that's Abby. And Abby was absolutely adorable, and the work that goes into our self-contained SLA classrooms is phenomenal and tremendous. It was a class of, on that day, there were only 5 students there, but normally it's 7 students. And these children come with a variety of challenges, but their teacher was so engaged with them, you would have thought I was in a regular first or second grade classroom. And Abby is mostly nonverbal, and so you see that little chart there. She could communicate to me and communicate to her teacher using that chart by pointing to things she wanted to say. However, Abby has learned the word no So when she didn't want to do something, she did tell me no. So she was just a delight, and so were all the other students, Owen, Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Lucas, who were there, were just really phenomenal classroom. And I encourage you, if you get an opportunity to visit a self-contained SLA classroom, it will definitely warm your heart. Giving a weekly, sort of monthly update on our weekly case total. As you can see, student cases still are much higher than our employee cases. There's a it depends on what side of the penny you want to look at. That's a positive, making sure that as many of our teachers are in school, because sometimes our teachers are out because of quarantine. And many of our students are out because of quarantining. And as you can see, there are certain points where we start to see a spike. Last week, the week where you see 48 students, that probably outside of the week of 54 was the most challenging week for us, getting a number of cases. But the schools, again, are cooperating with the Department of Health, and the Department of Health is working with the school district and trying to get this information out to the families that are impacted as quickly as possible. And as you can see, we are also doing our employee rapid testing very quickly. We are now getting results in less than 5 hours, so we're probably one of the best testing sites in the district, or in the state for that matter, that you can come get tested that day and get your results that day as well. If you watched the news yesterday, you may have heard that the governor has extended the executive order. That was always a concern for us. We knew that we were going to be held harmless for the fall count, which is survey 2, but we did not know what was going to happen for survey 3, the spring count. Although we've been given information, we still are not 100% sure what does that mean. I believe we're confident that it is not a total hold harmless, but it definitely is in a much better situation than when I presented probably a couple of months ago. I kind of showed you projections. If they don't hold us harmless, we could lose upwards to $30 million. We now don't believe it will be that much, but we don't have an exact answer on what will it be. And the reason we don't is there are some districts that have grown, that they are not in the position like most of the districts. I think there are about 10 to 20 districts that have student growth, and they want to ensure that those districts receive funding for the additional students. And so there's some form of a compromise. But the best part of that is that we can continue for those families who want to continue through distance learning or remote learning, that we are able to continue that process. However, that process comes with some caveats, and that's why we have to send in now a spring plan. We have to show that students who are not performing well, has poor attendance, that we've done all that we can do to try to draw them back into brick and mortar. I will tell you, Duval was ahead of this. We said in our last communication out to families that were participating in Duval Homeroom that if they had poor attendance, or if they were showing not being engaged and their grades were poor, that we were going to call them back to brick and mortar, or that we were going to work with families with other options. So now DOE has told us what those other options are, is that once we have identified those students and notified those families and they don't want to come back, we have to create a form to give to those families that they acknowledge we've done everything within our power to bring them back to brick and mortar, but they're signing that I understand that my child is struggling, I understand these things. It's real important, especially if it's an ESE student or an ESOL, students that have other services we're required to provide, that if they don't want to come back to brick and mortar, that they're signing, that they understand what we've asked from them, and that they're still choosing to remain learning remotely. Last quarter, over 7,000 students returned back to brick and mortar. That information has gone out. The deadline is December 4th, so they still have till Friday, so I can't tell you how many students are coming back, but we still believe a couple to 3,000 students may be returning back. That's lowering our Duval homeroom numbers significantly, and it has the ability to impact, especially at a secondary level. Elementary, the impact is not as great, but it impacts the electives. And so we've made sure that families know that your electives, we may have to make changes and do something different. We also have a number of students who are in electives and are not, for some reason, they're not doing very well in those electives, yet they're doing fine in their core. So every situation is different. Every school with their guidance counselors will counsel each family and work with those families to ensure that we are providing the best possible education, whether it's remotely or in brick and mortar. And some Duval homeroom teachers will have to return face-to-face instruction. Again, we're starting to have, in the beginning, we were having more students in Duval homeroom and really small class sizes, and now that's starting to flip. We're now starting to have a lot more students in brick and mortar and a lot less students in Duval homeroom. And so the next few weeks we'll be working on balancing those classrooms and trying to accommodate as many families as we possibly can, but it will be a little tenuous. At the last board workshop, we went over our 2021 School Choice Virtual Expo. So this is for our community. It will be on January 9th, 2021 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please look for information, especially in the parent portal and our website, that will give you information about the link, and it will be available later on in the month of December. This virtual platform will still allow families to do school tours, but they will be virtual. They'll be able to actually have live chats with school administration, teachers, and in some cases even students at schools. So this ought to be something very unique, and I won't say out of the box because we're all going virtual in some format for something. This week we have a virtual conference, so this is now part of our way of work, but we hope that our families will engage, and we're continuing to work with all of our schools to make sure they are prepared. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize our Teacher of the Year finalists. We had the pleasure of announcing that the days are starting to run together. That might have been last week. We had or maybe it was earlier this week.
It's only Tuesday.
It was Wednesday.
Yes, okay. Whatever day it was. But Nadine Irby from Southside Middle School, Kenneth Four, Carter G. Woodson, Jamira Jackson Gaines, R.L. Brown, Kimberly Parker from Lake Lucina, and Jim Smith from Mandarin High School. Congratulations to them. We look forward to seeing them at the Eddies, which will be broadcast live on Channel 4 on January 27th. And I believe it is a luncheon this year, and someone will send out information about what time it will air on Channel 4. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Dr. Green. I understand we have a department report this evening from the Academic Services. Gail Roberts, Executive Director of Exceptional Education and Student Services.
Good evening, honorable board members. It's my pleasure to provide the Exceptional Education and Student Services Department report. Tonight I will share data on students with disabilities, highlight 2 department initiatives for the 2021 school year, share community outreach efforts, and provide information on the special programs and procedures document. I will begin by sharing ESE program data. The EESS department supports over 26,000 students in 15 different ESE programs, in addition to evaluating and determining eligibility for students suspected of having a disability. The next 2 slides will include essential data trends related to students with disabilities. The first graph shows an increase of 4.8 percentage points over the past 2 years in the graduation rates of students with disabilities. The 2 overarching strategies used to improve our graduation rate are the expansion of the use of assistive technology and graduation checks conducted by the fully released VE teachers. The next graph shows a decrease of 7.7 percentage points over the past 2 years in the dropout rate for our students with disabilities. The most significant strategy used to reduce our dropout rate is the partnership between the EESS district staff and school-based teams to monitor early warning indicators and provide timely support to students. The last graph shows the significant decrease in the number of students with disabilities who had out-of-school suspensions of more than 10 days for the 2018-19 to the 2019-20 school year. The blue bar represents the number of students with disabilities suspended more than 10 days, which was 176 students in 2018-19, down to 18 students in 2019-20. The orange bar represents Black African American students with disabilities, which was reduced from 150 students to 16. 2 key strategies supporting this reduction are the expansion of the use of social emotional learning curricula and the intentional behavior supports of our district board certified behavior analysts with the students who are experiencing the most challenging behaviors. Now I would like to highlight 2 EESS department initiatives focused on closing the proficiency gap for students with disabilities compared to their non-disabled peers. The first initiative is the VE Master Educator Academy, which is a year-long coaching and mentoring course to provide evidence-based strategies designed to facilitate grade-level proficiency. There are 64 elementary, middle, and high school VE teachers participating in the inaugural year of the academy. The second initiative involves the training and mentoring of pre-K ESE teachers and speech and language pathologists in a program called Multisensory Early Language Development, or MELD. MELD consists of evidence-based strategies to help classroom teachers integrate language and literacy into daily activities and learning. Currently, there are 6 schools with pre-K classrooms participating in this initiative. Families of students with disabilities face many challenges in and out of school, which makes community outreach an essential part of our responsibilities. In addition to regularly scheduled Exceptional Student Education Advisory Committee board meetings, quarterly educational sessions are provided with topics selected based on a parent needs survey. We also have many robust collaborations with community nonprofits and universities. These are several of our educational opportunities for our families which cover relevant ESE topics. We call these trainings family education to include our families, our parents, guardians, and educational surrogates. Next, I'm going to present information regarding the Special Programs and Procedures document. The SP&P is a compliance document based on federal regulations, state statute, and state board rules. State statute section 1003.57 requires that district school boards submit to the Department of Education proposed procedures for the provision of special instruction and services for exceptional students once every 3 years. There are multiple steps to the SP&P approval process. The process starts with the Florida Department of Education providing guidance on the new sections. The district is then given access to review and revise specific sections. The next step is for the plan to be submitted to the Florida Department of Education for pre-approval. Once the district receives pre-approval, the plan is open for public input and final board approval. Sometimes districts are required to update the SP&P more frequently than every 3 years. This occurs if there are legislative or rule changes, circumstances such as declared emergencies, or to provide updates once state board rules are finalized. The SP&P serves as the basis for the identification, evaluation, eligibility determination, and placement of students to receive exceptional education services. Other general policies and procedures such as restraint and seclusion, free appropriate public education assurances, parent revocation of consent for special education, surrogate parents, transfer of parental rights at age of majority, general education intervention procedures, and participation in state and district assessments. There were 2 new sections added for the 2019-20 SP&P. One was a section on alternate assessment, which includes extraordinary exemptions and data on the number of students on alternate assessment. The other new section included the district's ESE procedures during the declared emergency, which caused schools closures. The district also updated the 2019-20 plan to include restraint and seclusion data, along with adding more strategies and resources for reducing the use of restraint and seclusion. In addition, the plan was updated to include revisions made to the district's MTSS procedures during the 19-20 school year. This is the 2019-20 SP&P timeline that started in May when the Florida Department of Education provided information on the new required sections up until tonight with public comments and board vote. The 2021 SP&P is the first year of the new cycle. This gives the district greater opportunity to review and revise specific sections that describe district policy. The plan will be shared with the ESE Advisory Committee for input in January. The draft plan is due to the Florida Department of Education for pre-approval on or before February 26th. Once the district plan is pre-approved, it will be noticed for public review and additional input, then presented to the board for final approval. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the Exceptional Education and Student Services Department report.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roberts. We appreciate all of your hard work. We are now on to the public comments portion of our agenda. The school board welcomes your comments on matters that are before the board for consideration. It is not the board's intent to respond this evening, but to use the input in our deliberations. To give everyone appropriate respect and courtesy, we ask the audience to refrain from audible comments or applause. When you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When the green light in front of me starts blinking, You will have a minute remaining. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds remaining. When it turns red and the buzzer sounds, your time will be up. If your concerns exceed that time, you may present written comments to the board. You are asked to refrain from references to specific individuals and to follow expectations for civil discourse. In an effort to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19, we have placed hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes at the podium. We ask that each speaker wipe down the microphone and podium before they address the board. The CDC currently recommends that facial coverings are worn while in public settings. Therefore, we recommend that all attendees wear a facial covering during today's meeting. Please remember that speaker cards were only accepted up until 6:20 p.m. Thank you for taking your time to address the board. Vice Chair Willie.
Through the chair, I try to get your attention. We don't have any speakers tonight.
No.
We don't, no. This is just no speakers.
Just a stack of blank cards.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay.
Want to make sure you practice.
Nobody wanted to come and talk to me tonight. Okay. That's never happened in
I-
my. I'm speechless.
Wait,
Right.
coming.
It's cold. That's what we're going to blame it on. All right, then we'll move on to any comments from parent organizations. Nobody's here from parent organizations. Any comments from employee organizations? And no one is here from any employee organizations. I feel like I'm talking into the air here.
Christmas.
Good, keep it going.
We will keep it moving then. We'll move on to the approval of minutes. That the Duval County School Board approve the minutes for the meetings listed in the agenda item. November 17th, 2020, annual organization meeting. November 18th, 2020, committee meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Joyce, seconded by Vice Chair Willie. Any discussion? Call for your vote. And you have approved those minutes 7-0. Approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items to be placed on the consent agenda or items for discussion? If not, I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Board Member Joyce, seconded by Board Member Hershey. Any discussion? I call for your vote. By your action, you have approved the consent agenda 7-0. We did have a couple of items pulled for discussion this evening. The first item for discussion is the resolution regarding consolidation of administrative offices, and that the Duval County School Board approve the attached resolution. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Jones, seconded by Vice Chair Willie. And the floor is open for discussion. Board Member Hershey?
Thank you. I pulled this item for discussion and brought this resolution to the board because I believe we have a responsibility to be a good steward of the people that we represent. And I think that it's time for us to have a serious conversation about looking at true and genuine opportunities for the future location of the board office. Over the years, there have been a lot of casual conversations within the community, and people have been approached over the years with different options, but the board has never taken any formal action to have a conversation and to seriously look at those opportunities. And I think that we are in a good position now. Since I've been on the board for the past 4 years, during that time, the value of the property has increased between $4 and $6 million. The building is paid for, and we own both the land and the building. If it's okay through the chair, I would like to ask a couple of questions just for clarity, not for the boards as much as for the public, to the superintendent or to someone in finance.
Dr. Green?
Dr. Green? Okay, all right. I didn't know who it was going to be. Okay.
I was waiting to hear the question, then
Okay.
then I can.
You're ready? Okay. So the question is, could you provide some background on the reason that the board is currently at this location, and if the board or the district incurred any debt at the time that this building was built, and also besides the reason that we're here, the need at that time 40 years ago to build a building such as this?
Through the chair to Board Member Hershey, I am going to ask Mr. Paul Soros to answer that background question. But I would like to add that a little over a year and a half ago, we did do an appraisal of this building and the property. And the appraisal, I believe we have emailed, well, it was over a year and a half ago, but we did email all the board members, and we can email that information out again, that appraised this building and the property around $13 million. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Soros to give the background.
Thank you.
Through the chair to Board Member Hershey. The district headquarters, looking back, was located in a leased building prior to being at this current location on Prudential Drive. In 1979, it was located along San Marco Boulevard, just south of the I-95 area, in an area that's currently occupied by Baptist. That's where it was, on San Marco Boulevard. It was a leased facility, and the district was advised by the building owner that the lease would not be renewed, and we had to move. So that prompted the district had to move because of the expiring lease. The district launched an RFP process to solicit proposals that included land, construction, and financial arrangements to relocate the district admin building. And asked for everything comprehensively. The process went on for several months and included several proposals, including buildings, land, and land currently owned by DCPS. So it was a mix of proposals that came forward. The lowest priced combination of land and construction is this current location. Several other locations were looked at, including one located nearby in San Marco, but none were as attractive as this current location. The proposal provided for 114,000 square feet, 6-story building that we're in now, on 4.5 acres. Had to have 400 plus parking spaces because free available parking was crucial for the public and for staff. Location had to be central within the county and easily accessible by road and mass transit for the public. So those are the kinds of things they talked about in the RFP, which are still true today. The total cost was $6.3 million roughly, which breaks down to about $54.97 per square foot for this location. Of this amount, $4.34 million was financed over 30 years, resulting in annual bond payments over that time. The payment was around $385,000, or about $3.38 per square foot per year. That's what we were paying. And that continued on to the 1993-94 timeframe, where financing interest rates really dropped, so it was refinanced for an annual payment of about $270,000 per year, which broke down to $2.37 per square foot. And that continued on until the last payment was made on 1 December 2011, exactly 9 years ago today. And so now we own this facility free and clear. That's kind of the background. And again, we financed roughly $4.34 million.
Thank you. I think that that's educational for the board and for the public to see what our original investment is, how that investment has grown, and how we were able to be responsible then. And I believe that this board has made bold decisions in the past and taken steps. I've said it before, I think that we are a board that future boards will look back to and thank. We've tackled some tough decisions, and I hope that through our action tonight, we would be able to continue to move the district forward by being responsible with our building once again.
Thank you, Board Member Hershey. Any other discussion? If not, I call for your vote. By your action, you have approved this item 7-0. The next item for discussion this evening is Human Resource Services Professional Standards, Employee Suspension Without Pay, Thomas Caggiano. Dr. Green, would you read your recommendation?
That the Duval County School Board approve the written reprimand with suspension without pay for 5 days for Thomas Caggiano, a teacher at Sandalwood High School. The recommended written reprimand with suspension without pay is for unprofessional conduct.
Thank you. Board Member Joyce.
Yes, thank you. So through the chair to Dr. Green, when this item came before the board last week, and I was reading through the investigative report, and I just would like to ask some clarifying questions and then make a statement. So in the investigative report, the allegation is that Mr. Caggiano abused his, and it says public social media account, his Facebook account. And so is that the complete allegation before the board?
Through the chair to Board Member Joyce, I'm going to, if it's permissible through Ms. Chastain, to ask Mr. Darrell Chapman to come forward.
Welcome, Mr. Chapman.
Good evening. Darrell Chapman, Office of General Counsel. Through the chair to Ms. Joyce. Specifically, your question was, please repeat it, please.
Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
Sure, please repeat your question.
Oh, my question was, in the allegation, it's the allegation against Mr. Caggiano is that he abused his social media account, and it says his public social media account.
That is referring to his private account that he had at the time that the charges were levied.
Okay, so I just wanted some clarification because it says public social media account, but in his report, he indicated that this account was private. So can you clarify if it was a public or a private account?
Well, actually, that was part of the investigative report. I can address the actual discipline and the administrative action that was provided because of that report.
Okay, and so in this report, he also says that the account was hacked.
I'm sorry?
He also indicates in this report that the account was hacked. Is that correct?
He did make that statement.
He made this statement.
Subject employee did make that statement.
And in your investigation, can you confirm or deny whether the account was hacked or not?
Well, to be clear to the board, through the chair, to Board Member Joyce, I have not done an investigation. That was done by professional services. I can tell you that this document that you have before you as far as administrative action is based upon that investigation that you have before you.
Okay.
But your statement is accurate with regards to the investigation. That is a statement that he made according to that report.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, he's stating that this is his personal account.
Yes, ma'am.
And he is stating that the account was hacked.
Yes, ma'am.
And that some of the evidence that's been presented to the board is not actual factual. He says he did not do this.
At various times, he made different statements which conflicted with each other, but one time he did deny that any of the statements were his. Any of the postings were his.
Say that one more time.
Sure. At various times, he made different statements, but they conflicted. At one point in time, he did deny that any of the posts were his, but that did vary as investigations were asked and questions were asked of him.
And Mr. Chapman, can you tell or tell the board, did Mr. Chapman ever use any DCPS equipment to make any of his Facebook posts?
According to the investigation, I don't believe the subject employee was identified as using any district equipment to make the post.
Okay. And did he make any of these Facebook posts during work hours, during the time he was contracted to work?
It's not known right now that that's a conclusion, but as far as I know, that hasn't been disclosed one way or the other.
Okay, I think the report says that he did not make any of these posts during work hours, and he did not use DCPS equipment.
And that's an important point that you're bringing up. That is the investigative report. But as we stated before, I have not interviewed any of the witnesses myself, and I am the prosecutor of this discipline. So until I have definitive statements from them directly, I can only go by the four corners of that report.
Okay. I guess there's a couple of things that why I wanted to bring this before the board and have the discussion. Number one, I'm concerned that there's allegations against him that he's denying, and you're stating that you can't confirm or deny any of these allegations.
Primarily because, one, it's the part of the investigation that all disciplines are based upon what you see before you, the four corners of that document. And two, this is a recorded meeting. So while I can advise each of you individually upon my defense of that document, my prosecution of this subject employee, I don't think it's appropriate to actually put that forth on the record because we will be giving away our strategy.
Okay, that's fair enough. I guess I got a couple other questions. The posts that are in question, would you say they are political and religious in nature?
I'd say there are posts put forth by this subject employee. It's up to an individual reader to decide what they are or what they aren't.
And did the employee or does any of the district employees receive any professional development training prior, about social media and the impacts of social media? And when do they receive that? When do they receive that training? If so.
To Board Member Joyce, through the chair, I don't know whether they have formal training or not, but I can address another issue of this particular case. One of the primary bases of this discipline is based upon the Florida Administrative Code, and that code outlines a number of prohibitions against Florida educators, one of which happens to be no Florida educator all Florida educators shall take reasonable precautions to distinguish between personal opinions and those of any educational institution or organization with which the individual is affiliated. The basis of that, and by the way, for the record, it's 6A-10.081 sub 2 sub 1 sub B, sub 2 sub B sub 1, Florida Administrative Code. That outlines one of the primary issues behind this discipline. And the Florida Administrative Code is subject to all of our instructional personnel. Each one who engages in education in this district is obligated to follow that. And that was a primary concern that everyone had when they understood what was taking place with this subject employee. So understanding the question, while training is important, so is the obligation to follow the rules that you were presented when you first were hired and have maintained throughout your employment.
And I understand that. My concern is that we have an employee who has stated he has a private account, who has stated that his account has been hacked. Mm-hmm. And if we were going through all district employees' Facebook's accounts, we would probably see posts that are political in nature and religious in nature. And so because of that, and the idea that if we as a district start policing personal Facebook accounts, that's a very slippery slope when it comes to an individual's First Amendment rights. And so that's why I wanted to pull the item and have this, bring this before the board, because I don't want to get in a position where we are disciplining employees that are using their personal account based on their own time, the time is outside of the district. And I don't know that that sets a good precedent for the district.
Through the chair to Board Member Joyce, as we discussed, I think that's admirable, and the ultimate point that we get across is everyone has a First Amendment right. The problem with this discipline is that as it goes on, I think everyone will read that it was an impact to the district. First Amendment rights, speaking of your own opinion, having your own say on your private time is one thing. But to the extent that our district, our administration, and our schools are affected, classes are restructured or perhaps restructured, students are moved from one class to another, parents complain and the community complains, the Florida Administrative Code identifies that those impacts are able to be disciplined by a district. And I think that was the focus of this one in particular. Understand generally that people have a Facebook account and they can talk about whoever they want to talk about. But by the time it gets back to the district, that impact in and of itself brings forth the power of this district to be able to take action.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Dr. Green, would you like to have Ms. Schultz provide any
Yes.
further information? I see that she is poised.
Yes.
The one item that I wanted to add is that the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Professional Standards provides a presentation each year for principals to present during pre-planning, and yearly that covers your social media accounts.
In the documentation that we received, Mr. Caggiano said that he did not receive any training about his personal social media account. So can we confirm whether the principal actually conducted the training that year? I think that's important.
Through the chair to Board Member Joyce, this individual has received training.
Okay, you can confirm that. I really wanted to bring this up because I really don't want to find, the district to find himself in a situation where we are infringing on, someone's political or religious beliefs in their private time. I know that the statement from the individual was that he had a private account and that students had befriended him. He did not accept the friendship request or by the parents, and that his account had been hacked. And there was post on his account that he did not put there. And so these are some concerns that I had that I just wanted to bring before the board, because I don't want to, wrongly punish someone for something that they're saying that they did not do.
Thank you, Board Member Joyce.
Ms. Schultz, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
So in the document, it does indicate that while he thought his account was private, he did realize later that it was not. He thought it was. And I believe it was 23 of the posts he did initial that, yes, he had placed there. So whether it had been hacked or not, at least 23 of those he acknowledged having posted.
He said in the document that his Facebook account was created privately, in a private account, and that he believed that it had been hacked and made public. And as soon as he found out that it was public, he changed it back to private again.
Board Member Joyce, with all due respect, I just want to make sure that Mr. Chapman and Ms. Schultz are not on trial, and that as a board, we're able to have discussion about the item and whether or
Absolutely.
not we can vote. And so I appreciate the feedback. I would ask for any of the other board members if they have other input or discussion that they would like to offer up.
Yeah.
Board Member Jones?
Yeah, I appreciate you intervening. I felt like that it was getting too deep in the weeds. I think that there's a process, and certainly that this district has to follow like every other district in the state of Florida. And I think our staff have done a very good job of following that process. And if there were any missteps made, if I were caught doing something, certainly I'm gonna deny it. That's just nature. So if you want to talk about policy, that's one thing. But if you want to talk about this particular case, I think this is not the setting to do that. That should be done in an executive session where it's not, if it's possible, and not in a public setting. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. Vice Chair Willie?
Yeah, just a quick question through the chair. Can someone read our social media policy? Because I think that's what it comes down to. And can someone state what our social media policy is? Because to your point, Mr. Chapman, it was around the infringement upon and when it sort of impedes upon the school district. And I know our social media policy sort of states a bit about that.
the chairperson, the vice chair, Willie, this discipline, as you will go through it, does not regard the social media policy. One, the guidelines for the social media policy, as Board Member Joyce was mentioning, regards taking home equipment, which is district equipment. The conduct here did not involve, as far as I know, district equipment. It's regarding contact that we had with this individual because of the statements that he made that reached the district and had an after effect here at the district. Kind of like being in a theater yelling fire. Certain words you just can't say because they'll have the ramifications on the public or the schools or students. That's what it took place here as you go through the district. Administrative action. And you'll notice in that district administrative action, there is no indication of the social media policy because it wasn't pertinent.
Thank you.
Ms. Chastain, do you have more information about a policy related to social media?
Good evening, Madam Chairman. So the use of the word policy, this is not in your policy handbook. There is not a social media policy. There's extensive court decisions about employee speech, whether it's in the context of employment or outside of employment, and bringing an impact to the employment workplace, which is really what I understand to be the situation here. I think what Mr. Chapman was referring to, or Ms. Schultz, I believe, elaborated on, there may be training provided by the district as far as, an employee's use of personal social media and what impact that may have on employment. But I believe that's a training module or outline. It's not set forth in policy.
Thank
Does
you
that
for
answer
that.
your question?
Thank you. I just wanted to, does that answer your
No,
question? It was my understanding that we don't have official policy on social media, but there is a professional educator's code of ethics that often provides guidance around these issues. Any further discussion? Board Member Pearson.
Through the chair, I'm trying to understand the issue of impact. And based on what you were saying, it sounds like impact is determined by how many people are offended.
Not necessarily. It's a demonstration of fact, just like any other case. It's a matter of proof before the administrative law judge as to how the district is impacted, be it parents, be it phone calls, be it students are being upset. Whatever the impact is, it's my burden to put that forth on behalf of the district to the administrative law judge to demonstrate the quote-unquote impact. But as Ms. Chastain outlined, various courts have looked at it different ways. It could be the students being upset, it could be parents being upset, it could be administrators being upset. Whoever is having the conflict. We had a situation last year where the issue was a bomb threat from a student 2 weeks ahead of time. In other words, the school didn't hear about it for 2 weeks, but they had to mobilize thereafter. That was the impact of those words that he uttered 2 weeks before. So it just depends upon the circumstances.
Ms. Pearson.
So I guess what I would, there doesn't seem to be a tipping, I mean, there must be a tipping point. And how do we know what that tipping point is? Is it a certain number of parents, a percentage of people looking for schedule change? How do we determine that the impact is serious enough to have a disciplinary hearing or action on an employee?
Board Member Coker through the chair. It's really the impact as deemed appropriate by the administration. And I will say it this way. I believe you will have administrators to have to deal with the coherent administration of the school. When that's disrupted, that becomes their impact. Then it's up to your executive board to look at that and say that that is insufficient, that's inappropriate for this district, and action is going to be taken thereafter. So I think if you're looking for a bright line as to what the impact is, there isn't one. It varies, depending upon the size of the schools, depending upon the parents, depending upon the instructional staff, depending upon the classes that are disrupted. All that comes into play as to quote-unquote the impact.
Thank you, Board Member Pearson. Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Board Member Joyce for a second
Just
time.
a follow-up question. The impact that this particular item had at this particular school, is all of that documented? And what I mean by that is parent statements, student statements is everything we have to support the impact documented in this packet.
I couldn't agree with that, ma'am. Through the chair to Board Member Joyce, what I found usually in administrative investigations, you'll have people being spoken to, you have documents being collected, but that's not the entire universe. There are a lot of other people that may have also been involved. You may have also spoken to parents, who may have also been engaged by the impact. That's up to be determined to be placed before the administrative law judge. I would never say that everything's included in that document because they only had the time to, prepare discipline for the board.
And I guess that's where I'm having that's why I'm questioning this, because if I'm being asked to administer discipline, and this is based on, to me, it seems something that's incomplete, or I don't have all of the information that you're saying. This document doesn't necessarily support that, in my opinion. And so if I'm going to make a vote, yes or no on this, this seems to be incomplete. But my next question is even if the board approves this, what is the next step in this process?
Dr. Green?
Through the chair to Board Member Joyce, the individual has requested an appeal. There's a certain number of days, and he's within that time frame, and so it will go to an administrative law judge for an appeal.
Dr. Green, can you provide more information about the process for the discipline process? So when this allegation is brought forward and the different departments that get involved, what does that process look like?
Well, for this particular issue, this process started because I received emails. Dr. Hatcher, the principal of Sandalwood, received emails, and therefore when I get information that someone is saying someone's done something, then I forward that information to our Office of Professional Standards. That office generally starts an investigation, and then at that point, I remove myself from that. I send it over, and then they take it and do their investigation. However long it takes them to do their investigation, at the end, they write a report. I then meet with Ms. Schultz, and Ms. Schultz, we discuss, here's what the report says. We look at progressive discipline. There are times that in progressive discipline, we may believe this was egregious enough that, we need to do, we'll just use example, suspension without pay for 5 days. And then if that is my request, then I have to make that recommendation to the board. That an employee has the option to appeal any discipline that, whether it's within my authority to just give that a discipline or it has to go before the board, the employee can appeal it. And then it goes to, I think I just said administrative law judge to determine whether, if the board approves this, will this stand once it goes to the appeal process. But that is generally the steps of submitting some type for investigation.
Ms. Chastain?
Good evening. Sorry to interrupt, but I can't recall, and the board office, I don't think, has a record of who moved the item and who seconded it. So I want to make sure we get this on the floor. And if none, perhaps somebody can do that now.
Can I ask for a motion?
Move approval.
Board Member Jones, seconded by Vice Chair Willie.
And please resume the discussion. I just didn't want to forget that.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion before we vote on the item? I feel like we've had an extensive discussion with the attorneys about the process. Did you have any more discussion for the board? Board Member Joyce?
I don't.
One final comment through the chair, and I think Board Member Joyce is thinking about due process for this individual, and I think the appeal actually gives that due process as well, that extra layer of due process. So I just wanted to acknowledge that publicly.
Thank you, Vice Chair Willie. If there's no further discussion, I call for your vote. By your action, you have approved this item 7-0. All right, our final item on the discussion agenda is a public hearing from Academic Services. Notice of public hearing and vote 2019-2020 Exceptional Student Education Policies and Procedures. Dr. Green, would you read the recommendation?
That the Duval County School Board conduct a public hearing and vote to approve the Exceptional Student Education Policies and Procedures, the SPMP document effective for the 2019 to 2020 through 2021-2022 school years.
Thank you. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. I ask for a motion.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Hershey, seconded by Board Member Jones. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. You have approved this item 7-0. No one has been traveling anywhere, so that brings us to for the record. Board Member Hershey.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Miss George, the AP at Atlantic Coast. And you know, I have to brag on 3 of the other APs who were recognized tonight, because Mr. Edmonds and Miss Westbury were also formally in District 7. So just wanted to highlight Mandarin and that strong AP pool. Congratulations to everyone for that, and also wanted to celebrate Mr. Schmitz being recognized as a semifinalist for Teacher of the Year. Just his accomplishments and what he has done was phenomenal, as were all the semifinalists. Then I'm sure other board members will recognize their respective semifinalists, but that was great to be a part of. I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday, and I hope everyone stays not only safe, but very well this holiday season.
Thank you. Board Member Coker-Daniel.
Like Board Member Hershey, want to congratulate Lisa Corprew, the assistant principal from Arlington Middle, who's one of the assistant principals of the year, and Kimberly Parker, who is one of the Teacher of the Year finalists. She is from Lake Lucina in District 1. I know of her work from my time in the district prior to serving on the board, and she is a literacy guru. And she has not only shared her talents and skills with thousands of children over her 32-year career, but also with her colleagues. She's one of those teachers that loves to share her skills and strategies, and she's an incredible talent, and we're so fortunate to have her in our district. I will say thank you to JPEF in particular for getting us to this point in the process for selecting the assistant principals, principals of the year, the teachers of the year. We often thank Rachel Tutwiler-Fortune and Coretta Hill, and they are wonderful, and we're grateful for their partnership. But also there are a lot of people behind the scenes at JPEF, Dryden Mills, Warren Buck, Stephanie Garfunkel, people like that do the logistics to make things happen over there, and we want to make sure we celebrate them as well. I want to do a thank you to the principals who've received me in my first set of visits as a new board member. It has been wonderful. I will tell you today I got to see Lisa Brady and Tiffany Green. And our principals amaze me. Despite all that's going on, they just are making it all happen. They're doing it with a smile on their face. And I feel so fortunate to be meeting with them and listening to them. And a final thank you to former board chair Warren Jones. About 2 weeks ago, as School Board Member Pearson and I were coming on the board, you arranged for board orientation for us as one of your final acts as board chair. Wanted to tell you thank you, and to all the cabinet members who met with us and took the time to really give us good information about what they're working on and how we can best support them. Want to thank the cabinet members for preparing for those meetings in such an in-depth manner. And then finally, aside from the holidays, I hope everyone enjoys them, but looking forward to the School Choice Expo in 2021 on January 9th. Really huge kudos to the School Choice Office, all of them, for what they're doing to make this event, which is such a big thing for us every single year. They're making it happen despite a lot of obstacles, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Board Member Joyce.
I just want to reiterate, I have three, let me see, I gotta put my glasses on. Two of my principals in my district received acknowledgement tonight, and that was Miss Winfrey and Miss Dennis. And I can tell you that I've been to both schools this year. They're doing a phenomenal job despite all the challenges that they have faced. Miss Winfrey, she's really just so, they're both so perfect for their schools. And so I thank Dr. Green for placing them there and keeping them there, because they really do a phenomenal job. And I can't go without acknowledging Miss Wilhelm. What she's done at Mamie Agnes Jones is incredible. I mean, when we talk about student achievement, you have to be at school, right, to achieve anything. And so the work that she's done in truancy and the work that she's done to increase the perfect attendance rate, I have been there and I've seen the work and she's so diligent with it. And thank you, Ms. Lee, for giving her the opportunity, freeing her up so that she can put these programs in place. I think is wonderful. So I just want to congratulate both of them. And I want to say I hope everyone enjoyed your Thanksgiving and you had a relaxing time. And we're right around the corner from Christmas and our winter break. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Board Member Pearson.
Well, this is going to be a little bit long because it's my first opportunity to really brag on District 3. And I have so much to brag about that it might take a while. But I wanted to thank Julia Landon Middle, Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, who gave me this mask, and Spring Park Elementary today for hosting me on my first set of visits. I was very impressed with their programs and with the leaders at all three schools. I look forward to visiting the balance of my 19 schools by December 18th. Congratulations to Ms. Ebry from Southside Middle, finalist for Teacher of the Year, Ms. Barnwell at DuPont Middle, Principal of the Year, Mr. Edmonds and Ms. Westbury, Lovegrove and Southside Middle for AP finalist. District 3 is looking pretty good. And finally, I reached out to my middle school and high school principals because I wanted to recognize this time our student athletes from our fall sports. So I only asked them to give me highlights from post-season play. So at Sandalwood High School, girls bowling won Gateway and district championships, and the team placed 6th overall in the state championships. Football placed 2nd in the Gateway Conference and 3rd round of the state playoffs, which is the best they've done in a while. Swimming, 7 regional and 2 state qualifiers, including Drew Sauls, All-American in the 50 and 100 free, and diver Taylor Graham, 5th in the state. For volleyball, all-conference player Courtney McCrone, girls golf, all-conference Alexis Williams. Moving on to Samuel Wolfson School for Advanced Studies, the boys golf team won conference, district, regionals, and placed 2nd in the state, which is a big accomplishment for a public school in boys golf. All of the team, Will Davis, Sam Davis, Alexander Waller, Adam Waller, and Adam Vermouth, were named all-conference. On the swim team, the boys and girls placed 2nd in the district, and that's a district where that school swims against Bowles and Episcopal, among other schools. And they sent 12 swimmers and divers to the state meet. Inglewood In football, they have a Gateway All-Conference, Rashard Clark. And soccer is off to a 3-0 start. At Landon, the volleyball team placed second in the city, losing to a very talented and organized Fletcher Middle School team, who absolutely deserved to win that game, and I say that as a parent of a Landon volleyball player. They absolutely deserve to win, so go District 3.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Board Member Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And congratulations on your first meeting. I think you've done a commendable job. You've had some good teachers, I think, over the 2 years you've been on the school board. Right? Just want to congratulate Kenneth Ford, Teacher of the Year at Carnegie Woodson. I thank Dr. Green for talking him out of retirement or leaving the district. He was kind of frustrated there at the time, but I think he stepped up and he's doing an outstanding job at the school, which I guess he'll be transitioning to District 4. So you're getting a good one, Mr. Willie. And had an opportunity to attend the DAC meeting last month, and Dr. Green and I were there, and very well received. They had a few questions about FSA testing. I did explain to them that in the process of asking the superintendent to look at relocating the headquarters, that none of the half-penny sales referendum money would be used in that process, so they were happy to understand that. And finally, just want to give a shout out to all those who, Teachers of the Year, Principals of the Year, finalists, and assistant principals. I think it's a testament to the district and the outstanding work that our teachers, principals, and assistant principals are doing, and they're being recognized for it. And even though they may not be a finalist, we see the work that they're doing each and every day. So thank you, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all those who are watching, and be safe and have an enjoyable season. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Willie.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, first of all, just congratulations once again to all the Teachers of the Year. It's always a special time and a special honor to be recognized by your peers for that award. And to the top 5, Miss Jackson, who's at R.L. Brown, which is in my district, but also I've gotten a chance to really just cross paths with some of the other top 5 as well. Miss Ebery and Mr. Ford are just phenomenal teachers. So I'm so impressed with the top 5 and all the Teachers of the Year this year. Just congratulations on that, as well as the principals and APs and even our school counselors. In addition, sort of been on a thank you tour for the half a penny, and I've just gotten a number of just wonderful comments about the work that our former chairs did to sort of get us to this point. So congratulations and thank you for your leadership there. And now folks are excited about this oversight committee. They feel like things are moving and happening. So I just want to thank this board for us just continuing to push forward. Last couple things. Number one, first is the Ribault Middle football team. Congratulations to them for their championship. As well as I'm hearing a lot of great comments about the one-to-one devices that are being pushed out. So Jim Colbert, your team, just a lot of phenomenal comments about that. We are really pushing forward as a district like a lot of other districts are not doing. So we should really be thankful. Thank you to the staff and that hard work for making that happen. And last, tomorrow there is a FSBA conference that is virtual across the state. And I was actually tapped and asked to do a thought of the day to start off the conference. And I took time during my thought of the day to actually thank the folks who are sitting with me up here on this dais today, and Dr. Green and the staff for just a tremendous effort. So I wanted to just publicly say that here. It'll be blasted out on that video tomorrow, but I just really am thankful for being in the trenches with folks who care, who lead, and lead boldly, as was mentioned earlier today. And I want to continue to do that, and I just want to thank folks for being up here. Happy holidays to all. Hug the ones you love, and just keep everybody nice and warm this holiday season.
Thank you, Vice Chair Willie. I would like to take a moment as well to congratulate Principal Ledford from Fletcher High School on his nomination as a Principal of the Year finalist. Fletcher has had quite an eventful school year so far, and I'm always impressed that he's able to keep the school really just being a neighborhood community all-American school. And so congratulations to him. I also want to say congratulations to Miss Wilhelm. You know, as a school counselor, to be recognized in the state of Florida, that's huge. I think that speaks volumes to the school counseling programs and the options that we're able to give our students here in Duval. And so kudos to her for taking that above and beyond. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Green for subbing at Neptune Beach Elementary School. I am always impressed with your willingness to get in the classroom, to put yourself in the shoes of our staff and be with our students. That really speaks highly of your leadership, and I'm really grateful that you've asked your staff to do that as well, and that so many staff members are willing to go into the buildings during this time that I know has been so difficult for teachers, to have leadership that care, that are able to fill that need as much as possible, I think is really meaningful to folks. So thank you so much for that. I want to say thank you to JPAF for hosting the day of community listening sessions. Michelle Braun from United Way made a comment while we were there. As someone who works with United Ways across the country, 1,100 United Way chapters, and she mentioned that when she gets on the phone with these folks, they talk about the struggles that their children are going through and the struggles that their school systems are going through. And I was really pleased to hear her speak so highly that for her it's easy to say that Duval is not facing some of those struggles. And she really threw kudos back to the superintendent, to the district. And I don't know, we've said many times, you know, when you're in it, it's hard and there are challenges and it's not working out perfectly. But what's happening here and the leadership that we've had in being able to get devices into the hands of students, to get hotspots into people's homes, to be able to create Duval Homeroom and allow for the flexibility to have multiple academic modalities. It's really impressive. And so it's not just something that we recognize, but word is getting out. And so I am grateful to her for the comment and for their participation, JPAF for convening us, and then all of the participants that came together to provide commentary. We appreciate that. As we move into the next phase of strategic planning, which I'm super excited for next week, there is a quote from Manoush Shafiq, who's a professor from the London School of Economics, that really resonates with me. He says, in the past, jobs were about muscles, now they are about the brains, but in the future, they'll be about the heart. And we have had so much pivoting we have had to do this school year and even at the end of last school year, and we're really looking at the future and what the potential is for this district. And I am excited about tapping into the heart of our community and how we can engage our children. So with that, I will remind everyone that our January meeting has been moved to Monday, January 11th, due to the New Year holiday. And so please don't forget about the School Choice Expo on January 9th. And also be safe. Be safe, protect yourself, protect one another. We are almost, I think, to a light with this COVID thing. So thank you all for being with us, and have a wonderful holiday season and a Happy New Year.